If the 3-2 thriller against Fulham was the spark, today's 2-0 dismantling of Tottenham Hotspur was the fire. Manchester United just did something they haven't done in years. They controlled a match, from start to finish, against a top 6 opponent, without panic, without chaos, without needing a last-minute miracle. And the most remarkable part? It wasn't because they suddenly signed the world's best players. It wasn't because the opposition collapsed. It was because Michael Carrick fixed one massive problem that had been destroying Manchester United for years. A problem so fundamental that every manager since Ferguson failed to solve it. A problem that made world-class players look ordinary, that made simple passes feel impossible, that left Casemiro looking 10 years older than he actually was. But in the space of just a few weeks, Carrick identified it, fixed it, and transformed United into a team that looks like they actually know what they're doing. And after today's performance against Spurs, United fans aren't just hopeful anymore. They're starting to believe. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what Carrick changed. You'll see the tactical system that's making it work, and you'll discover why this isn't just a new manager bounce. It's a calculated revolution. But first, subscribe to Cyberboot right now, because we're about to break down the one tactical fix that's turned Manchester United from chaos into control. Let's expose what Carrick really did. Before we talk about the solution, we need to understand the problem. Because for the last several years, Manchester United have suffered from one consistent issue that transcended managers, formations, and personnel: isolation. Players operating in vast spaces with no support, midfielders receiving the ball with the nearest teammate 40 yards away, attackers making runs with nobody in position to pass to them. It didn't matter who the manager was. It didn't matter what formation they played. United's players were always too far apart, and when players are isolated, everything becomes harder. Simple passes become risky. Defensive transitions leave massive gaps. Attacking moves break down before they even start. This is what happened under Ten Hag, under the previous regime, under every manager post-Ferguson. They all use variations of the same tactical philosophy: positional play. The idea is simple: spread your players out across the pitch, assign specific zones to specific players, make the pitch as big as possible. It's what Pep Guardiola does at Manchester City. It's what dominated modern football for the last decade. But here's the problem: it only works if every single player understands their positioning perfectly and executes with technical precision. And United's squad? They didn't. So what happened? Casemiro would have the ball in midfield, and his closest passing option was Bruno Fernandes, 40 yards away. Defenders would try to play out from the back, but the nearest midfielder was so far away that the pass became a 50-50 gamble. Attackers would make runs, but by the time the ball arrived, the defense had already recovered. United were a team of talented individuals operating in complete isolation from each other, and it made them slow, predictable, easy to defend against. But then Michael Carrick arrived, and he did something that nobody else had thought to do. He threw positional play in the bin and replaced it with something completely different. Let's talk about what Michael Carrick actually changed. Because this isn't just tweaking a formation. This is a complete philosophical shift in how United approached the game. The system is called Relationism, and it's the anti-space strategy, where positional play says spread out and fill zones. Relationism says move to the ball and create clusters. Let me explain exactly what this means on the pitch. Instead of assigning players to specific areas and telling them to stay there, Carrick tells players to form tight groups around whoever has the ball. 3 to 4 players, within 5 to 10 yards of each other, a cluster, a net, a connected unit. And this changes everything, because when players are close together, passing becomes easy. One-touch combinations become possible. Defensive pressure can be bypassed with quick, simple exchanges. But here's the genius part. This cluster deliberately baits the opposition. When United form a tight group on one side of the pitch, the defending team naturally swarms toward the ball. They commit numbers to press the cluster and win possession. And the moment they do, United use quick, short combinations to break out of the press. And suddenly, the entire rest of the pitch is wide open, because all the defenders are on one side, chasing the cluster, and United's attackers, Benjamin Sesko, Brian Mbeumo, are running into oceans of space on the other side. This is the trap, the bait and switch. United deliberately invite pressure in one area so they can exploit the space in another, and it's devastatingly effective. But it only works if specific players execute specific roles perfectly. Let's break down exactly who's doing what. Let's start with the player who's been transformed more than anyone else, Casemiro. For the last 2 seasons, Casemiro has looked finished, slow, ineffective, 10 years older than he actually is. Fans were calling for him to be dropped. Pundits were questioning why United ever signed him. But the problem was never Casemiro. The problem was the system. Under the previous setup, Casemiro was isolated in a massive defensive midfield zone. His job was to cover huge spaces, to intercept passes, to break up attacks, all by himself. And when he had the ball, His nearest passing option was 40 yards away. So every pass was risky, every touch was under pressure, every decision was a gamble. He looked slow because he was being asked to do the impossible. But under Carrick's relationism system, everything changed. Now Casemiro is the hub of the cluster, with teammates constantly moving to him. Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro, Lisandro Martinez. He always has a 5-yard passing option available. He doesn't need to run across the pitch anymore. He doesn't need to make 30-yard passes under pressure. He just needs to pivot the ball through the cluster, keep it moving, maintain the rhythm. And suddenly, Casemiro looks like the player Real Madrid won 5 Champions Leagues with. Against Fulham, he didn't just control the midfield, he scored a header and provided an assist with a no-look pass to Matheus Cunha. Against Spurs, he dominated, total control, dictating tempo, winning every duel. The player hasn't changed, the system around him has, and that's the beauty of what Carrick's done. He hasn't tried to change the players, he's changed the environment to suit the players. But Casemiro isn't the only player operating differently. Lisandro Martinez has been given a completely new role, and it's one of the most interesting tactical adjustments in the entire system. Traditionally, center backs stay back. They defend. They organize the defensive line. They don't venture too far forward. But under Carrick, Martinez doesn't play like a traditional center back. He plays like an extra midfielder. When United are building from the back and forming their cluster, Martinez steps up into midfield. He becomes part of the tight group, part of the passing network. And this creates a specific tactical dilemma for the opposition. If a striker presses Martinez, it opens a lane behind them. United can play through that space. If the striker backs off and doesn't press, Martinez has the freedom to carry the ball all the way to the edge of the final third. Either way, United benefit, and Martinez's technical ability makes this work perfectly. Against Fulham, he completed 94% of his passes. Not just simple recycling passes, progressive passes that bypassed Fulham's first line of pressure. He's not just defending anymore. He's a key part of United's build-up play. And this is what modern football is about. Defenders who can contribute in possession, who can break lines with their passing, who can step into midfield when needed. Martinez has always had this ability. Carrick has just given him the license to use it. Now here's where the system gets really clever. Because while United are forming their tight cluster on the right or in the center, Luke Shaw is doing something completely different on the left. He's staying wide, staying high, staying aggressive. And this is deliberate. Shaw's role is to be the decoy. While the opposition focus on the cluster, on Casemiro, Martinez, Bruno, Mainu, all grouped together, Shaw pins the opposing fullback back. The fullback can't leave Shaw unmarked because he's too dangerous in wide areas. But by staying with Shaw, the fullback creates a massive channel, the half space between himself and the center back. And that's exactly where United's attackers want to exploit. Matheus Cunha, Brian Mbeumo, Benjamin Sesko. They make runs into that channel, into the space Shaw has created just by existing wide and high. And suddenly, United have a numerical advantage in the most dangerous area of the pitch. This is tactical intelligence. This is using every player's positioning to create advantages elsewhere. Shaw doesn't need to touch the ball to be effective. His positioning alone is creating opportunities. Now let me ask you, do you think this tactical system can work long term? Or will teams eventually figure it out and shut it down? Drop your answer in the comments, because that's the big question everyone's asking. But here's the twist that nobody saw coming. This system, this relationism philosophy, isn't actually new. It's not something Carrick invented. It's something he's restoring. Because if you go back and watch Manchester United under Sir Alex Ferguson, you'll see the exact same principles. Players moving to the ball, tight clusters in midfield, quick combinations to bypass pressure. Ferguson's United didn't play positional football. They played relational football. And Carrick, having played under Ferguson for years, absorbed that philosophy completely. He's not reinventing United. He's remembering what made them great in the first place. And that's why this feels different from every other tactical change post-Ferguson. It's not a foreign system being imposed. It's the club's DNA being reactivated. Now let's talk about the proof. Because tactical theory is useless without results. And the last 2 matches, Fulham and Spurs, tell us everything we need to know about whether this system actually works. The Fulham match, the proof of concept. The 3-2 victory against Fulham was chaotic, frantic, thrilling. But it was also the proof that this system could produce goals. Casemiro scored a header from a Bruno delivery in the 19th minute. Matheus Cunha volleyed home in the 56th minute after a no-look pass from Casemiro, a direct result of the chemistry in tight spaces. Then Fulham equalized late, a penalty in the 85th minute, a stoppage time strike to make it 2-2, and for a moment it looked like the old United, the team that collapses under pressure. But then, in the 90th minute, +4, Benjamin Sesko scored the winner. The goal came from a quick transition. United absorbed Fulham's pressure, maintained their cluster, and sprung the trap. The ball moved quickly through tight spaces, bypassed the Fulham press, and Sesko finished. This was character. This was resilience. This was the system working under maximum pressure. The Spurs match, the masterclass. If Fulham was about character, today's match against Tottenham was about control. And this is where Carrick's system truly announced itself. In the 29th minute, Christian Romero was sent off. Why? Because United's tight passing clusters frustrated Spurs so much that Romero lunged recklessly at Casemiro trying to break up a cluster, and he got it wrong. Red card. From that moment, the match was over. Bryan Mbeumo scored in the 38th minute from a well-worked corner routine, another aspect of grouping players effectively. Bruno Fernandes sealed it in the 81st minute with a clinical finish. But here's the critical detail. United didn't need a last-minute winner. They didn't need to scrape through. They controlled the game. They passed Spurs to death. With an extra man and the relationism system working perfectly, Spurs couldn't get near the ball. This wasn't luck. This was system dominance. Let's zoom out and look at what Carrick has actually achieved so far. 4 consecutive Premier League wins. Benjamin Sesko leading the scoring charts with 4 goals in his last 4 games. Bryan Mbeumo making an immediate impact, scoring regularly, including today's opener against Spurs. Casemiro Reborn contributing a goal and an assist against Fulham and total control against Spurs. And most importantly, United are solidified in the top 4. The gap to 5th place is widening. Stability has returned to Old Trafford. This isn't a new manager bounce. This is a systematic improvement based on clear tactical principles. And United fans are starting to believe again, not because of hype, not because of promises, because of results, because of performances, because of a system that finally makes sense. So here's the final verdict. Michael Carrick fixed the one big problem that had been destroying Manchester United for years: isolation. By implementing relationism, by creating tight clusters instead of spreading players across vast zones, he has turned United from a disjointed mess into a connected, coherent team. The 3-2 against Fulham showed they could score. The 2-0 against Spurs proved they could control. And for the first time in years, United fans are starting to believe again. Not because everything's perfect, but because there's finally a system that makes sense, a philosophy that fits the players, a manager who understands what this club actually is. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Michael Carrick has finally cracked the code at Manchester United? Or is this just another temporary fix that will fade? And here's the bigger question. Can relationism work long-term in the Premier League? Or will elite teams figure out how to counter it? Drop your predictions in the comments right now. Let's debate this properly. If this breakdown changed how you see Manchester United's tactical transformation, subscribe to Cyberboot immediately and turn on that notification bell. Hit that like button if you're finally starting to believe in United again. Share this with anyone who thinks United are still in crisis. And remember, the best solutions are often the simplest ones. This is Cyberboot. See you in the next one.